Welcome back, guys. This is Sarah.
And I'm Erica. And we are Living Understaffed, the podcast about not having enough hands or hours and when your best just is very good.
And let me tell you, guys, it's been a couple weeks since we've recorded, and no. It's me too. It's the Understaffed, like the whole premise of this show literally started a year ago, which happy anniversary, my love. The podcast is a year old as of December 4th, which is really exciting.
It's officially a toddler now.
It's officially a toddler. Yes. We are getting there. I remember us talking about this episode, or like talking about the show where we were like, oh my God, like how is this even possible that we have so much on our plates, and like, oh my God, we should start a podcast about being understaffed. Like we ourselves are living understaffed. And then that's where this like bloomed. Like we started, I got a notification on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook that we created, or no, Twitter and Instagram that we had a 1-year anniversary. And I totally forgot the date. I'm not gonna lie. And then I was like, oh my God, it's been a year. We have to do all this stuff on social media. Oh my God. And I didn't. And I just put up a post and was like, happy anniversary, boo. All right. But what we're doing, because this episode is releasing on Christmas Day, so I have but one question for you. What we're doing, guys, for anyone who is listening, we are taking a bye week because we are fucking exhausted. We are tired. We are absolutely understaffed by all definitions of the word. And so what we're going to do is we're going to replay our most downloaded episodes. So Erica, out of all of our episodes, which one do you think is the most downloaded? I have to know which one you think would be. If you want to pull up Trello and look at all of the episode titles, you can do that too. I'll give you a hint.
I'm looking them up right now.
Okay.
I feel like it was one of our earlier ones, but I don't remember which one it was. I think it was our Hear Me Out episode.
You are correct. That is our most downloaded episode. That is episode number 2. So for those of you tuning in, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for allowing us the listening space in your brain and in your personal space, because this is literally my favorite hobby besides crocheting.
Me too.
Yeah, like I'm here for it. So I want to thank you guys. It is Christmas Day, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever denomination it is that you are. Thank you for being here. And here is the Hear Me Out episode that, oh God, it released. When did it release? It was our second episode that we officially put out. And that was
15th of May.
Thank you. May 15th, 2024. So here is Hear Me Out. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we will talk to you guys next week. Hey guys, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Erica.
And we are Living Understaffed,
the podcast about not having enough hands or hours, and your best just isn't very good.
Good God, it's so true. So let's catch up a little bit. What was understaffed about your week this week, or the last couple weeks?
I mean, well, just like we talked about it a little bit before we started, but we decided we were going to record at a time. And I was like, absolutely, I can do that. And then I took a nap, and then I just rotted in my bed watching TikTok until the time. And then I was like, wow, I'm disgusting. I need to take a shower and put makeup on. So I was 30 minutes late. Through no fault but my own.
Yeah, I went and I heated up some lunch at 11. At 11. And I was like, all right, cool. So then at 12, I'm going to go do my hair. I'm going to do my makeup, set up my recording shit, whatever this is called, equipment. Can't even think of words. And then, I'll go over some notes and I'll be on my computer a little bit, and then we'll get started at 1 o'clock. And then I looked at, like, I started watching Netflix and I was chilling for a minute and I grabbed all the equipment to set it up, but it's just sitting on my bed. And then the next time I looked down at the clock, it was like 10 to 1. No makeup, no hair, no nothing. And I was like, let me send her a message like, hey, I'm going to run downstairs and do my makeup real quick. And that's when she was like, I'm still rotting in bed. I'll be 20 minutes late.
Yeah.
Here we are. That's okay. Oh man, this week has been like, for those of you that are just tuning in, I work for the Army in Missouri and I work with international students. And so we in process a group of students like every couple of weeks. And it could be anywhere from like 1 student to like 22 students. And so usually we have a week break in between. But the last 3 weeks it was 4 students and then 16 students directly the week after. And then 12 students the week after, and then 3 more students supposed to show up this week, and we only ended up with 1. But normally we only have maybe 1 or 2 back-to-back classes. This month we've had 4 weeks of back-to-back. So like me being an admin, I do all paperwork and I call myself the cruise director for when they first get here. So like I am so behind. And then I've been sick for the last 3 fucking weeks. So like I have had 0 energy and I have drive, but there's not as much like oomph behind that engine because I have no energy to drive. Like, oh God. So this week was just like, I started feeling a little bit better. But I had gone and visited my mother last weekend who, we found out in the last month that she has terminal cancer. And like, I was just emotionally fucking drained of spending time with her. And again, for those of you that are now joining in or don't know me, I don't really get along with her. So like, it was an emotional weekend on top of being sick and like, oh, the epitome of living understaffed. The fact that I'm standing today and not just like rotting in my bed also and telling Erica like, I'll see you next week is a fucking feat in and of itself. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, for the record, one or both of us have been like, sorry, can't for
Month.
the last month for lots of reasons.
And we pitched this idea to ourselves in December. I think I want to say it was right before Christmas. And we were like, fuck yeah. Like I was in an IT program at the time. Thank God I graduated. Fucking, that is a stage of my life that I would like to forget. But I was like, we're going to launch this podcast like right after I graduate. So I have a little bit of time. We'll take a couple weeks. I'm going to sleep for a week and then we'll just jump right into it. That was February. Like our first episode launched on May 1st. Understaffed. That's okay.
Oops. We're just doing our best.
I mean, yeah.
That's very good sometimes.
It's yes, like that is the expectation is we are trying, we are putting ourselves out there. And the whole goal of this podcast was to just put the info out there about being understaffed as far as like, emotional ability, psychological ability, physical ability, but today's economy and today's society in general, we are all a little understaffed, whether it's every day or once a week or once a month. It's happening to all of us. And, Erica and I just decided like, we're going to create this podcast and hope that it aligns with other people because we know that it does. So welcome.
Oh yeah. I mean, how many people do you know are like, I'm rocking it? No, nobody. I think we all feel a little bit like we were not prepared for this. We're not qualified for any of it.
No. Or like I've seen a bunch of memes that are like, our parents grew up in a completely different world. So when they were adulting and raising children, that's not the current society and the current time that we live in, adulting and trying to raise kids. Neither one of us have kids. So like, we're not in that boat, but like having pets or just having a job and making sure that we get to work and making sure that our cars function appropriately or have gas to get there and back. Like, this is not the world that our parents grew up in or the world that our parents thought that we were going to be in, So like, this is a completely different world. And it's the same thing with their parents and their parents before them. Like, it's the same thing, but it just feels like the current cost of living, with the, the things going on in the world today, and I'm not going to get into the political side of things, but with everything going on right now, it seems like nobody's really catching a break. And like, that's honestly why I'm here, is that, podcasting is a love of mine that I realized in the last few years, but this is something that like helps me stay out of trouble. Like this is something that stops me from making terrible decisions. And I'm not like, out there making terrible decisions all the time, but it's very possible for my brain. So yeah, podcasting, I'm not going to say saved my life, but like it's helping. It's for sure helping.
It's keeping you constructive. I never really quite grew out of the teenage urge to be like, I want to do something self-destructive. Feeling a little squirrely.
Oh, yeah.
And instead of being a teenager, being like, I'm going to get absolutely shitbag wasted and go party with boys that are 5 years older than me. Now it's like, I know I got paid 3 days ago, but I'm going to go to Barnes and Noble and spend $300 I don't have.
Why not? It's totally fine.
So, again, podcasting is good for me.
Yeah.
Constructive.
We had a little bit of this conversation before recording today too, that it was like, I am not the master of money. Like I set aside a little bit of money every month and every paycheck, but like, am I the person to pull a little bit of money out of savings because my friends invited me for midget wrestling last night and we went out and got shit-faced? Yes. Like 100%. Did I go to midget wrestling yesterday? Yes. So, there are worse decisions to make in life, and but there's not a piece of me that's like, oh yeah, I'm amazing with money. I'm still living paycheck to paycheck, but here I am.
Yeah.
So podcasting also helps me hold myself accountable to a sense of like, Sarah, you can't rot in bed all day and live within your anxiety and your depression because you made a commitment to your friend. And like, okay, here we are,
Same.
So I do want to bring up the fact that I became pen pals with a felon, with someone who is currently incarcerated.
How does one acquire, first of all, how does one acquire a pen pal since we are no longer Victorian women?
So, okay, just as a frame of reference, I volunteer with an organization called Soldiers Angels, and the organization itself helps support troops that are currently deployed. So one of the things that I do volunteering is I write letters to soldiers that I adopt, and you write one letter per week and you send one care package per month. And I've been doing that since like, it was before I became a military spouse. That was like 2000. God, when did I move to Texas? 2010? I moved to Texas, I think. So, I mean, I've been doing it for a hot minute. So I write letters every week, like sometimes multiple letters. It helps me. I don't know. Like, and then after becoming a military spouse, I was like, oh, I'm absolutely continuing to do this. And so, I also send like random cards to these guys or women, like I love it. So fast forward to a couple weeks ago, my coworker and I took one of the big groups of students over to get a security brief from one of our agencies on post. And we had to take 2 vans. So one of my coworkers had to drive. I drove the other van. And we're there. And the students kind of get rotated in small groups into the security office to be shown like the camera system, to be shown what their process is if they catch like shoplifters or people who are speeding and things like that. And so my coworker and I are just standing there talking, and the students are kind of wandering a little bit. We're trying to make sure that we're keeping an eye on everybody, And so she and I are sitting there talking, and her phone is buzzing. She pulls it out of her pocket, and I look down at the screen because that's what we all do. We're all just kind of like focused on other people's screens, including our own. And the contact that comes up on the phone number says prison/jail time. And I started laughing because I was like, bitch, that's who you have your wife and your phone as? Like, first of all, like, that's hilarious.
Rude.
Does she know? Like, does she know that she's in your phone like that? Oh man, I was laughing so hard. But as I'm saying this out loud, she's talking at the exact same time, saying, hey, this is my cousin calling from prison, and he loves talking to new people. And she just hands me the phone. And I thought she was fucking kidding. I thought I was about to talk to her wife, you know? So I'm like, hey, Diana. And it says, you can now start talking to this person, like an automated thing says. And I was like,
Oh, yeah,
hello?
like the collect call.
Yeah. And so I was like, hello? And he goes, yo, what's up? And I'm like, I'm sorry, who is this? Who the fuck? And so he only gets like 20-minute phone call or time increments. And we're talking a little bit. And I think I talked to him for maybe like 5 or 6 minutes, and I hand the phone back because he wants to know who I am, how I know his cousin, like how is it that I'm picking up her phone and whatever. And I kind of explained it. We only talked for a few minutes, but I made the comment that I was like, that she had told me about him a few weeks before, and because he writes her letters too. And so she had the letter with her because she went and checked the mail while we were at work. And she showed it to me, and I was like, oh man, that's, like, that's unfortunate. You have a cousin that's in prison. And she's like, yeah, his circumstances are like not great. Okay. So I made the comment about that, and I was like, I'll write you a letter. I don't mind. I write letters all the time. And he was like, really? Would you really? And so I hand the phone back to my friend, and I didn't really think anything of it, but I guess that like he got super excited about it. So I wrote him a letter, and we're writing back and forth. And I get that, okay, because have I looked up his arrest record? Yep. Like, why are you in prison? Okay. Like, okay. So
obviously,
for the people that are out there that may be a little bit concerned, no, I'm not going to fall in love with an inmate. That's not my thing. That's not my style. Am I a kind person that is willing to write a letter to somebody that I've never met? Yes, I will absolutely do that. No, this is not an episode of 90 Day Fiancé or 90 Day Incarcerated Fiancé. No. He is not a sexual offender. And so I'm kind of like, well, there's a very large barrier between us if we're just writing letters. Oh, and I have a P.O. box. So I'm not too terribly like worried if anything were going to happen. Also, the fact I don't think that my coworker would just throw the phone at me if she thought that her cousin was a dangerous human being. So, yeah. Now, on the funny side of this, I was home in Iowa last weekend visiting my biological mom. And, there's these appointments and stuff that she wants to go to. And this is only like the third time that I've been home in 15 years. And so she wants to like parade me in front of her friends that I don't know and I don't care about. Like not in like a mean way, but just like, I'm never going to see these people again. Why do I care if they come over to the house because they want to get to know me? They don't want to get to know me. You just want to like introduce me and be like, oh, this is my long lost daughter. Stop it. Like, I don't care that much. So, Sarah's sick, has low energy, really angry about all these random people coming to the house that want to, get to know me because I'm her daughter. No, they don't, first of all. Second of all, not feeling well and getting angry about it because she keeps inviting people over. Said inmate called me while I was home for a phone call. And I looked down at my phone and there's like 3 people sitting at the table with my mom. And I was like, oh, it's my prison boyfriend. I got to go.
Excellent. Because not only is your mother a nightmare, secondly, she lives in Iowa. If she wanted you to visit, she could pick one of those things.
Yes.
You can be a nightmare if you live in Hawaii.
Yes. So I came back 20 minutes later, and I had taken my keys. But I came back 20 minutes later because their phone calls are only 20 minutes. And so I came back, and my mom's friend was like, oh, did you go shopping anywhere? And I was like, no, I was walking around in the garage. And she's like, oh. And I was like, yeah, I was talking to my friend that's in prison. And she was like, it was the best. Like, I needed that to have enough energy to get through the rest of the day of all these people that my mom kept inviting over to the house. So I was just like, all right, cool. Like I needed that. And of course my mom was mortified. Like she was just like, oh, yep, don't care. Don't care. Like now my goal is to embarrass you because you're inviting all these fucking people over. So
There is something primal in the satisfaction of upsetting your parents. Like that, like teenage petulance. There are certain things where I'm just like, ugh.
Yep.
Like my mom is not a tattoo person. Every time I come home, I usually have a new tattoo. So most of my tattoos you can't see, but the last couple I've gotten, you can. And I know my mom's going to be like,
Oh man. My oldest sister is 18 years older than me. Okay. And I have four sisters total. 3, me, including me, there's the 4 of us. 3 of us have gotten tattoos. And my oldest sister is the one that held out, you know? And so after I got my first tattoo, I think I was still 17. Yeah, I was still 17. All of mom's kids had gotten a tattoo except my oldest sister. Maybe one of the stepkids, but she doesn't really have a relationship with them. So my oldest sister held out. So on my sister's, I think it was for her 50th birthday, she got a big ass butterfly on the back of her neck. Big ass butterfly. When my mom found out about it, she was like, oh, the last holdout. So disappointing. And I'm just like,
love that for you.
Who cares? Like, who cares? So then I go home with a big ass sleeve. My brother has a decent piece on his arms. Like, nobody cares. Not a single person cares. So yeah, I will say that yes, I am now pen pals with a felon, which is kind of weird and kind of like enlightening in a sense.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because, well, I feel like the last couple of years post divorce, I have been doing my damnedest to get back on my feet and make sure that like my bills are paid every month, that I'm not asking family for money, which thankfully I have only had to do a few times. So I'm very grateful. But like, you know, I'm getting back on my feet and I have put my ass out there, not hoeing, but I have 3 fucking jobs and like I am doing my damnedest, you know, to like being sick for the last 3 weeks has really put a dent in my productivity time. So like I am doing my damnedest to stay on my feet to make sure everything's good to go. And I've been doing pretty well for the last year. That being said, speaking with someone who has very little to zero connectivity with the outside world has humbled me a little bit. Not gonna lie. Because like the last time we talked, I think he was talking about how he was watching the draft on TV. And he was like, are you into football? And I was like, absolutely not. Like, do I watch it? Yeah. Do I go to people's houses for barbecues? Yeah. But do I care? Not really. And it's not a bad thing for other people to have that hobby, but that's just not one of mine, you know? But then it made me realize that like he only has access to so many things. He doesn't have access to the internet. He doesn't have a phone. He only gets to eat the same shitty food every week. He only, you know, so like it's humbled me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. So I'm grateful in that sense. But again, for you haters out there, I'm fine. Like I'm safe. I'm not about to get engaged to some felon that's behind bars. Like everything's fine. So yeah, I had to share that because it's an interesting life story. And I am also documenting it. So like the letters that I write, I take pictures of and I upload it to my photo album. And then what he sends me, I'm also saving. So it's interesting. It's
so cute.
Interesting dynamic.
I'm like, every time I talk to you, you like, you're so productive. And I'm just like,
oh man,
I have one job and it's cutting into my rotting time.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful in a sense that the one second job is 5 to 10 hours a week and I can do it with no pants on, which is wonderful. And again, not hoeing. Thank you so much. it's also in the podcast world, and I'm a producer for another podcast. So like I edit all the episodes and I upload everything and do the transcription and like I do all the things. So I can do that job with no pants on. I don't have to put makeup on. I don't have to do my hair. I don't have to wear a bra. Amen. That's the fucking life. My other job is a travel job, and I only have to do that like once a month or so. But it is extremely over exhausting. Exhausting doesn't even give it the correct term. It is overwhelming, but it is so much fun. I get to travel on the company's dime, and it's corporate event management. So we're around these big, beautiful companies, and they're paying for this big, amazing, beautiful event to be put together by our company, and I'm staff on the ground. So my personality is very much customer service based. I am there to help people. I'm there to do the things. So like that job really speaks to my soul because I get travel out of it, and I get to travel to all these crazy places. But I also get paid pretty well. And then I come back to, my life here and work full time for the Army and do what I got to do. So to be fair, it's not like I'm like every single day working 3 jobs, to be fair. But sometimes it is
I know.
a lot.
But still, I'm like, what do you mean you want to? I have a thing. I have 2 things in one weekend.
Yeah.
You want me to be outside my house after 8 p.m.?
Oh,
Who do you think I am?
that is a struggle. That I will say is a struggle, especially like I already don't sleep very well, but after 8 p.m., like I want to be in my bed watching Netflix or on my laptop doing whatever, but I don't want to be outside of my house. And so like in the dating world where people want to like meet up for drinks at 9:00, I'm like, gross. do you understand? Like, no, you are not for me then.
You want me to be outside my house at 9 p.m. and I have to shave my legs? Ooh, sir.
Yeah, no, I went with a group of friends to midget wrestling yesterday, and yes, I was out past 9:00. Someone else was DD, so I got to like let loose a little bit, have some drinks. I met a whole bunch of people that are actually from this area that are like new. So I was like, oh my God, I've been here for I've almost been here for 10 years total. But I'm like, oh, you should go to this place. You should go hiking here. You should do this. So like I got to, like network a little bit, but absolutely got driven home, and I was knocked the fuck out when we left the bar. Like I was in the back of the car, like, because it was midnight and it was 1,000 hours past my bedtime. And I was like, thank God someone else is driving. Like, no.
I went to that emo concert. For those who don't know, I fucking love. I still listen to all and like new emo bands that are coming. That is the way to my heart. Sad boy genre as a whole, here for it.
Amen.
And yeah, I went out on Friday and I stayed up until 10. I know.
Shocking.
Listening to emo karaoke, and it was so much fun. But then like the whole next day, yesterday, I was like, I don't
who am I? Who is
Yeah, I'm like, I had to take a nap. This is how old I am. I, no matter what, wake up at 6:30.
Yeah, I've become that person.
I went to bed.
Yep.
I wake up at 6:30. Did I take a nap at 9 a.m.? Absolutely, I did.
Yep. I was up at 5 today on a fucking Sunday because my alarm went off. And normally I remember to turn that shit off, but I forgot because it was fucking 1:00 by the time I got home last night. So my alarm goes off at 5 and I was like, oh my God, ew. But I had to go wash my face because I still had makeup on. My Apple Watch was completely dead. So I'm like, I got to put that bad boy on the charger. My phone was dead. Got to put that bad boy on the charger. And then I was awake for like hour and a half or so because I was, up and down the stairs and like doing a bunch of stuff. But then I slept from like 8 to 10, maybe 10:30. And then I was like, okay, we can start the day now.
Yeah, I'm alive now. I've had my second sleep, feeling good. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. You know how, what is it? Hobbits get a second breakfast? Levensies? Is that what that is? I want my second sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a
And that
second
does
breakfast wouldn't
include
be
the
that bad.
depression nap.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
you're an adult and you can't sleep in anymore.
Mm.
The you can't sleep in nap.
Mhm.
And then there's the afternoon, I don't want to be awake because
life.
gestures vaguely.
Gestures.
Depression nap, obviously.
Yes. And okay, let me also put out there for those people that have children that are like, I can't nap. I am sorry for you. But will I try to nap for both of us? Yes.
Yeah, I'll take that burden upon myself.
I am
Don't
so
worry.
sorry. And guys, also, I'm not a kid hater. Let's put that out there. Like I enjoy children. I do. I wanted to have kids for a really long time. And like, well, I shouldn't say really long time. I was on the no baby train, especially while married. No baby train for a long time. So like I lived that path where I was like, peace out, see you later. And then a couple years before getting divorced, really, really, really wanted to have kids. We got divorced. There's a whole thing. But like now I have this lifestyle that I'm upholding that I really enjoy, you know? And it's not that I wouldn't want a kid, but I'm grateful for not having a kid because I'm holding myself together through anxiety and depression. And I can't imagine being inside my head and having to care for another human being, especially one who is completely dependent on me, not just like a spouse that also has a job that also has things going on, you know? So it's not that I hate kids. It's not that I hate marriage or that I hate, you know, people who have kids or whatever. Like that's not it at all. I am grateful for the life that I have though. So
I will also say that I'm currently not a parent, used to be a foster parent, and my husband and I tried to make space for each other to actually enjoy time sans children for like an hour every day on the weekend, just because the kids that we had didn't nap, which was tragic. And I used my hour to nap. So Nolan would be like, I got the girls, you do whatever you want. And I would take a nap. And it was the
absolutely.
greatest.
Yeah.
Now, caveat, not everyone has a spouse to take their children. Not everyone would use their time that way. Not everyone has a spouse that's at all helpful. So, you know, got it. But I'm just saying, that is where my priorities are.
Yeah. And that's okay. Like, oh.
Time is going. Yeah. Hey, welcome to the Shane and I Show. Or actually, it's not the Shane and I Show. It's a promo.
It's a promo for the Shane and I show about nothing that makes you think of something.
And we are available wherever you listen to podcasts. Spotify, Apple, what else?
I don't know.
Pods.
Yeah, but we got like 5.
We got like 5 seconds to fit it. Well, we're going to go a little over.
What?
So, hey.
Listen to the show.
Yeah, you messed that up.
You fucked it up.
One thing that we are going to kind of like bring into our episodes is the stuff that we're currently reading because Erica, more so than me, both love reading. I listen to a lot of audiobooks because I'm constantly driving or road tripping, but I want to talk about what I'm reading too. But Erica, go ahead. Talk about what you're reading right now.
I'm reading The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. She wrote the Winter Night series, so The Bear and the Nightingale, which was also excellent. If you haven't read it, do. It's so good. But this one is different. It's and both of her books have this element of like magical realism and like they're like historical magical realism. And just the way she writes the characters is really interesting. And like she has this way of writing that's not wordy, but you know exactly what she's talking about. And it's just excellent. Now I've been reading the same book for like 3 weeks. It has nothing to do with how good the book is. I just haven't been reading. But anyone who enjoyed those books, I just love Catherine Arden with my whole entire heart. And she's one of those authors where like, if I see a book of hers that I have not read, I will pick it up and I will read it.
Okay. I like it. I'm not even sure that I've read anything by her, but solid recommendation. I will have to remember that.
I mean, what I read the most, though, I've been reading the most. I just finished a 10-book series of cozy murder mysteries that are like 150 pages because I also don't always have the brain power for books that I do find very enjoyable, but I'm like, I just can't today.
I will say, like, audiobooks have really upped my reading game. And I know that there's like this whole debate out there about is listening to audiobooks actually reading? I mean, no, I'm not sitting there turning pages or, clicking on the next screen to read the next page. But I find audiobooks to be very enjoyable because I spend so much time in my car. So recently I've finished book 3. I restarted listening to the Case Scarpetta series by Patricia Cornwell, which I started in high school when you read like the books for points program or whatever. I don't remember what we called it in our school, but I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. So I started reading the Case Scarpetta series back in high school. And I think there's like 26 books and the audios are really good. And they're all like 12-hour plus listens. And I've listened to 3 in the last 3 weeks, especially being sick also because I've had a lot of downtime. So yeah, I've listened to quite a few, but the book, I guess, that I'm currently reading is Travels with George. So also to back up, my office that I work out of is inside of the library that's on Post. And so we're on the second floor, which is part of the research library. But the first floor is like the civilian library that has all the fiction and nonfiction and whatever. So the research library, sometimes they get some of the civilian library books returned upstairs. And I'm pretty good friends with the librarians that work back there. So I constantly go over and talk to them when I need a break from my computer. One of them had the returns cart and it had this Travels with George. And I was like, because I recently have gotten a little bit into history the last couple of years as it's become more fascinating for me. But this is Nathaniel Philbrick is the author. So he goes on his own journey to see for himself what America has become in the 229 years since Washington became president. So he writes in a first person version and he follows Washington's presidential excursions as well as his own adventures moving between the 18th century and the 21st century to see the country through both perspectives. And I'm only a couple chapters in, and it has pictures in it, and it has maps from like the original maps from the 1800s, but then it also has maps, like current day maps in it to kind of give that comparison, and it's fascinating. So I would highly suggest this as well. Which normally I'm much more into fiction on a normal basis, but the last couple of years getting a little bit more into history, I've started reading more autobiographies and historical novels like this. So I have a wide range of reading interests.
Yeah, I think we both do. That's one thing that I think that we both love to read. But we like a lot of different kinds of books. Like I read from 15 to like 25 exclusively like grocery store romance novels, like with the fun covers and like no shame in my game whatsoever. Like that's what I'm reading. And I read so many of them. Like I've probably read 500 of those books. I'm not even exaggerating.
That's wonderful.
But I'm not, I mean, I read differently now. And we both read books that are like, I mean, we have different things that we like. Like everyone has like, oh, I don't like this in a book, or like I like authors that use this literary device or whatever. But different genres, because not all books fit into a genre or Like, it's just nice to be like, hey, I read this book and it was really good, and I think you might like it.
Okay. So I know that we were talking about it a little bit earlier, but you are also in a book club there too, right?
Yes, I'm one of the admins of a book club, actually.
Okay.
And before I start this, not trying to yuck anybody's yum. Whatever you read, it's all books, it's all reading. Again, it's just not my flavor. That's all I'm trying to say. However, one of the books that we read for our book club, it was voted on by the members of the book of the book club. So it's not like it was just one person that randomly did it. We read, let me look up the author so I can. We read Morning Glory Milking Farm by C.M. Nascasa.
Morning Glory Milking Farm.
Yes, Morning Glory Milking Farm. And let me tell you, I'm never going to be able to look at a 24-ounce container of milk the same way ever again. It again, let me preface this by saying we had to read 2 books. One of them was by Penelope Douglas, which Penelope Douglas is one of those authors where people either really like her books or really don't like her books because of the content of her books and not necessarily the writing style. The book that we read, I didn't really like the writing style, which is why I didn't like it.
Okay.
And of the 2 books that I read that month for the book club, Morning Glory Milking Farm was actually really well written, to be honest. Like, there were some plot holes there. I mean, it wasn't really for the character development, but when you're talking about describing characters and describing like the world that they're in, and like the writing was actually very good. So I think I definitely am this person where I'm like, how good can those books possibly be? Very good, turns out. However, this was a Minotaur human romance, which again, love that for you. Live your best life. However,
Might not be my thing, but
no, there were some things that I found concerning. A, they focus so much on foreskin. If that's what you're into,
Oh.
cool. Love that for you. Logistically speaking, if you can put your whole pinky like in the like flap, how does it fit? It just took me out of the book a little bit, is all I'm saying. It just seemed a little unrealistic. Aside from the fact that there's like minotaurs and everything like that, the logistics of it did not. And also, there are certain things that I just find kind of gross. And one of those where they kept talking about so backtracking, the premise of the book is that they need minotaur semen for something. We don't actually find out in the book. But her job is essentially like jacking off minotaurs. That's her job. No judgment.
okay.
Apparently she makes a lot of money. If I made as much money as she makes in the book jacking off minotaurs, I would do it too. No shame in her game. And she falls in love with one of her clients, I guess is the best way to put it. And if he was a human, I would have loved the book. To be perfectly honest, monster romance just isn't my thing. You have to have like a human penis for me to be into it. Again, though, 24 ounces
Oh,
every time.
oh my God.
Ew.
The judgment.
Go.
I could hear the judgment in my voice, but I'm imagining how much that actually is. And
yes.
that's I'm still, to be fair, I'm still stuck on the pinky inside, like.
Oh, there's a scene where she's just like, boop, on the out. If the whole pinky can fit in.
Is that?
How
okay.
Is it?
Okay.
Okay,
I have a question. I have a question for anyone out there who's dealt with an uncut man. Is that even possible? Is that a thing? This is a real life question. Is that a possible thing? Because I don't actually know the answer to that question.
I don't think so. Because it's been a long time, so I can't say.
Because,
for sure.
Because they're supposed to.
Your whole pinky, it just covers like. It's like a little turtleneck. I can't.
Oh. Okay. So
and I know the person who recommended this book, and she loved it. And again, there are books that I don't like that are very popular, but they're popular for a reason. If you like a book, like I spent so many years being criticized by people who were like, oh, you read romance novels and then crack open their Dan Brown book like it's literature. Like, so I'm not trying to be like, oh, that's not real book. That's not real reading. Like, if that's what you like, fucking read it. Read all of them. This is how we defeat the patriarchy. Read every single monster romance book you want to. Get it, girl. I'm just saying, personally.
Now monster romance is also not my thing, but like Discovery of Witches, I listened to that first audiobook 100 times. I think I've listened to it 4 times now. I love me some good vampire novels. So is that technically a monster? Yes. I don't think that I've ever read animal monster, centaurs. I don't even know what else there. Werewolves. I know that's like a huge thing. Okay, so I guess I did read Twilight in high school, but I don't know. Like I've never really been into the whole monster thing, but I also have that morbid curiosity that now you're telling me about it, and my brain is wrapping around these scenes and these questions, and I'm like, okay, now I kind of want to read it for like my own perspective. But yeah,
so it's like a 6-hour audiobook.
Oh, well, I might do that then.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I go through like a 12-hour
audiobook
in a week.
Read worse books that I have paid more money for. So like I said, I read a Penelope Douglas book, which, again, if that's your jam, love that for you. I'm personally not a big fan of Penelope Douglas, but I didn't like the writing style as much as I like the writing style of this book. I thought it was super well written. I thought the characters were different, and like the male protagonist was respectful and seemed realistic, and again, it was all good. But going back to the monster romance, I read this series, which, plug for this series came out a long time ago, like before werewolves were really popular. I think it's like the Moon series by Rebecca York is the author, and I think she wrote like a Shifter series later.
Okay.
Super good. It's like 10 books. I should read the first one again because it's been a really long time, and it might not be good. I read them when I was like 19. My tastes have changed, but those books were great.
Well,
I also recently read Bride by Allie Hazelwood. She wrote the Love Hypothesis books.
I don't think I know what that is.
You've definitely seen them at Walmart, but they're like contemporary romance, and both of the main characters are in a STEM field. And I don't read romance a lot now, but I did really like them. Let me say this. I'm more critical of romance novels now than I used to be. And there are a lot of things that like take me out of the story that didn't used to. So I don't find myself reading them as often, but those books I really did enjoy. And this one had monster romance. And one of the things that they talked about is like, so previously, all the werewolf shifter romance books that I'd read before, whenever hanky panky is happening, it is in human form. Bride is also like that, except they talk about like nodding, which if you don't want to know what that is, don't look it up. Just, it's fine. You don't need to know. And that was one thing where I'm like, but it was brought up in a way that made it less weird than some other books make it seem. Like, I read a gargoyle book. This is very embarrassing for me. I read a gargoyle book.
Okay.
You know the hear me out thing on TikTok? Like your hear me out person, and they're like ridiculous, like O'Malley from the Aristocats. My hear me out is the main gargoyle guy from the Gargoyle show on Disney Channel that was on the 90s. That is my hear me out.
Oh.
So I saw this book and they even looked like it. I'm like, I know it's going to be bad. I'm going to read it anyway. It wasn't my thing. I DNF'd it because of this scene where it just like took me by surprise. I'm like, so I need to be eased into it. I need to know that there's going to be a weird, not human penis involved before.
A weird, not human penis.
I'm not. But yeah, that's sort of I could talk for a very long time about romance novels.
Love this. I love this. Well, guys, we're going to wrap up this episode. I appreciate each and all, 4 of you listeners here to join us for this. Look out for the episode in the next couple weeks, and we'll see you next time.